All right. Hi, I'm Scott, believer and follower of Jesus Christ, and I've struggled with alcohol and sex addiction in the past. Okay, I was born right here in Columbia. Have a younger sister. Actually attended the church right down the street from here for a couple years until I was like 7 or 8 years old, and my mom was a Sunday school teacher there, but my dad never went, so I don't. But we only went there until I was like 7 or 8, and then we just stopped going. Alcohol has always been a big part of my family, as far back as I can remember. Even have pictures in our family album of me with a beer bottle in my hand when I was a baby at the bar, somewhere around here probably. And I can remember my parents, my grandparents sitting around, drinking, and me and my sister, they'd order us Shirley Temples, and we'd be sitting at the bar drinking Shirley Temples, I always thought that was cool when I was young, you know what I mean? But I started drinking at the age of 11. Remember drinking from a bottle out of my parents' cabinet and walking to school drunk when I was in 6th grade. My mom and dad were always working, and it was pretty easy to get away with it. I was always a chubby kid in school and never really felt like I fit in. Never really felt like I was good enough at home either. I was always told by my dad that how bad I did things, even had to quit his Little League team because he used me as an example of what not to do. And it's still kind of it's like a family joke, they bring it up a lot now, and they think it's funny because I quit my dad's team, but it's never been funny to me. And then probably at age 10 or 11, I also discovered pornography. My dad had a stack of magazines and movies in his closet, and I found them. They never really tried to hide anything. This formed the way I viewed women at a young age, and also thinking that's how you showed love through sex. And at the age of 13, I started having sex. Also at that time, I started getting really serious about music. Soon spent all my time isolated in my bedroom for hours, sometimes 8 hours a day playing guitar. I also felt like this was the only way I could get attention, and the attention I was starting for. I'll skip ahead a little bit here to junior high. Drank a lot more, probably every weekend. Smoked pot once in a while with a friend, like the only friend I had in high school, junior high. A couple of failed relationships. I had a steady girlfriend in high school who I found out cheated on me right before my senior prom, which totally destroyed me. I remember posing for pictures, and I felt like I couldn't even stand to be near her. I was so mad. But I did it anyway. Went to the prom with her. And from that time on, I told myself that I'd never let that happen again. And made sure I'd always be the one cheating and not putting myself in that position again. Played drums in the high school marching band, which introduced me to a whole new crowd. We partied together all the time, had relationships with numerous girls from the band front. All this time never having a relationship with God, pretty much just living my life without a care. I've always struggled with my weight, and also was very self-conscious. And when playing in bands in the 80s and early 90s, pretty much had to be stick thin and have long hair. So I started taking speed, anything to lose weight. I actually got down to 128 pounds with all my clothes on, and I remember I couldn't get any thinner. And you look back at pictures now, and it's pretty sick the way I looked then. But I was doing whatever I had to do to try to fit in. Joined a popular local band at the age of 19, and were playing bars right away. And that's when the drinking really took off, because then you can get all the free drinks and whatever. And also more women who are all interested in the Bad Boy Musicians. That band actually ended because of we actually had a record deal, and our guitar player was so hooked on coke that he wouldn't go to New York and play the show that we had to play in order to seal the deal, and that kind of destroyed me there. It was like, you know, back then that's all I ever wanted was to be famous, you know, and I think God had a plan there, because I think if I would have been, I probably wouldn't be alive, who knows. But and you know, we were like a gang, you know, always getting in fights. Spent a couple overnighters in jail because of fights at bars. I got barred from numerous bars in York, and actually barred for life from a couple of them. And that time I was also training in martial arts, so if anyone got in my way, I could take them out. And and alcohol and karate don't go together too good. I met a girl when I was 19, and actually had my first daughter, Ashley, at the age of 22. And I thought that would fill a void in my heart, but really didn't. I was cheating on my girlfriend with numerous other women, and never really cared about any of them, but told them all that I loved them, which I always used to get what I wanted. You know, I would pretty much just tell everybody what they wanted to hear just to get anything. And I think, you know, looking back, I probably had a love and relationship addiction also. Always felt like I needed someone to make me feel loved and needed. And when I didn't feel that, I would just start another relationship, never ending the ones I was already in. And also about that time, you know, I had trouble trusting even the guys I hung out with, because around that time my sister was raped by 3 of my best friends, and I ended up, me and my brother-in-law went after them, and you know, we messed them up pretty good, a couple of them, and I was charged with an assault with a deadly weapon, and actually we had somebody intimidate the witness, so he didn't testify, so they dropped it to, what was it, disorderly conduct. So I didn't go to jail for that, which, you know, I thank God for that. But then on September 11th, 1991, my whole life was forever changed. My grandfather, who owned a car lot right here in Columbia, was taking some people for a test drive, and they beat him to death and ran him over with the car. The car that they stole from him. This really affected me badly. I was the last one to see him alive, and I was at the car lot because of our band practice there. And it was after hours, and he told me some people wanted to take a test drive, and then he was going to go, and I told him not to, and told him to tell him to come back the next day, but he was all about making the sale. You know, that's a used car salesman, you know. I said okay, and me and the band packed up and went out for a night of partying. I got a call about 1 or so in the morning that he never came back. And so again, me and my brother-in-law, we went into Lancaster City with some guns, and you know, because I knew what they looked like, I knew what the car looked like, and I just, you know, it's probably bad to say, but they were Puerto Rican, so I just felt like, okay, they're probably from Lancaster City, so we went there. And went into the worst parts of town, but didn't see them. Which is good, because I'd probably be the one in jail. They called me into the police station to give a description, because I actually saw the people, and they were actually captured in New York, still driving the car with the dealer plate on it. So they weren't too smart. They were sent to jail for life without chance of parole, and all this time without God in my life. And looking back now, that's all I ever needed. This really made my drinking worse, feeling responsible, and somehow for not stopping him from going on that test drive. One night soon after that, I spent all night drinking, and after attending an after-hour club in New York, I made my way home to Lancaster, unable to keep my car on the road the whole way home. I made it within like a mile of my house and fell asleep around the curve and actually hit a guy head on that was going to work because it was like 6 or 7 in the morning. I just jumped out of my car and flipped out on the guy and just made him think that he crossed into my lane. And I think that he thought he actually did because my car was still in my lane after I hit him. And but the cops came, and there's a lady cop that she said that I smelled like I had been drinking. And I said, well, you can give me a breathalyzer if you want, just playing it. And she said, no, because you're not stumbling or anything, which I was like, now that would never happen, you know what I mean? But this was a long time ago. But still, again, I think, God was intervening there. At that time, me and my first daughter's mom, we parted ways. And my daughter was only 2 then, which is pretty tough because I really didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with her. I still kind of regret that, but I'm trying to make our relationship better now. And shortly after that, I met the love of my life, Deb. After a long day and night at the recording studio, we decided to stop at a club that we often went to, and there she was. Our bass player happened to know her and introduced us, and right away I knew there was something way different about her. First off, she was 6 months pregnant. That was pretty different. You couldn't really tell. Lisa actually said, you know she's pregnant, right? But we talked for a long time. It was really cool because I never felt like talking much to any other girls I was with. Shortly after that, we started dating, and then she had Alex, which I call my son too because I've been there since the beginning. She actually had him 2 months premature, which was tough. She spent 3 weeks in the hospital, and Alex had to remain in the hospital in the NICU a while. We did a lot of partying with her sister and all of our friends. Played in a couple bands during this time, and then I asked her to marry me, and she said she would, as long as I promised not to move off to California with the band. And I told her, and get famous. I agreed. Later, I would use that as a resentment. On June 29th, 1996, we were married. And in April of '97, our daughter Allison was born, and I was just blown away by the miracle of her. I decided I was going to stop playing for a while so I could spend more time at home. That lasted 2 years. Then I got into a band that was only playing like once a month, so I thought that would be okay. But wow, those guys were a bunch of drinkers. And that really triggered me and my drinking. I mean, at the end of the nights, I couldn't walk. I mean, I don't even know how I played, but because I just drank to get drunk every time. I didn't drink to have a good time. That wasn't what it was about for me. I just drank to drink, And soon after that, we started attending a church at our pastor's house, which we helped with planting a church here in York. We really enjoyed it, and it was really growing, and we were very involved, but never really having had a relationship with Christ. Even through all that, nobody ever told us, or maybe they told us, but we didn't hear it. I don't know. But we never really understood what it meant to have a relationship with Christ. I played in a worship band and was coming to church most Sundays hungover. This continued for a while, and eventually got into my own business. And it went good for a while, and then the economy took a downturn, and so did my business. I felt myself getting really depressed, was bummed out because, I thought I failed again, Pretty much that's when I kept hearing my dad saying, "You're never going to do anything," you know what I mean? And that's how I felt. And I felt like something was missing. And through the internet, I started seeking out things. It started with just porn, which turned into actually meeting other women from sites, which put me into a downward spiral of despair and hopelessness. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. I didn't understand what was going on. I loved my wife so much, but couldn't stop my behavior, knowing that eventually it would ruin everything I've ever wanted. A wonderful, beautiful family, but it didn't matter. My addiction and the devil had me. I joined another band, which really fed my ego. My wife didn't want me to join, but I told her if she didn't agree, I was going to leave her. So she agreed. I really used this opportunity to drink more, to have affairs. She trusted me so much. She would never have thought I could do the things I was doing. But she did find out, and she confronted me, and I denied. Well, the trust had been broken, and she no longer believed the thing I said. I agreed to go to counseling, but not really cooperating. Thought it would be good for me to check it out. Sorry. I was still continuing bad behavior. The counselor eventually told us we were wasting our money because I really didn't want to work on the marriage. He was right. I didn't want to. And I thought I wanted to live my rock star dream that I missed out on, and so the day after our 15-year anniversary, we separated. While telling her we would get back together, I really didn't think that would happen. After a few more acts of bad behavior on my part, she told me not to text, don't call, don't come see me. That was tough, even though I deserved it. I never thought it would happen. She was becoming stronger. Little bit I knew, but God was working on her in a mighty way. I was living in a room at my cousin's apartment and becoming even more depressed. I remember Deb telling me that exercising helps with depression, so I started walking the Wrightsville Bridge every day and before work. And this wasn't always good because I would look over the edge and think about jumping, and not into the river, but into the concrete. That's how sick I was, knowing that, because I had a relative that jumped off the bridge and lived. So it's like, I'm not going to do that, but that's how I felt. I just felt everyone would be better off without me. My business was failing, my marriage was failing, and I felt hopeless. I thank God that the one day I was considering it, I got a call and was offered a job right when I was walking across the bridge, And because Deb was no longer supporting me, for years my business wasn't doing that great, and she was taking care of everything. And about that time, Deb's sister, Lisa, gave Deb a pamphlet from CR to give to me. She'd been going there and had been making great changes in her life. God had been making great changes in her life, and thought it would be good for me to check it out. Well, in August of 2011, I started attending Celebrate Recovery at LCBC on Monday nights. Originally going there just to kind of fake Deb out to make her think that I was trying to make changes, and hopefully getting back home and just continuing what I was doing. But, the first night I was there, I wept through all the songs you know, because I was so broken. I met George there, and he really made an impact on me on the first night, and knew he had something special. It was Jesus, and I wanted it. I wanted that. I continued drinking for about a month. I still wasn't born again. Soon after that, I started attending here, and men's frat on Thursday nights over at LCBC, and just really dove in, you know, and really tried to do anything I could to make good choices, you know. And I started going back to our counselor by myself, who's here tonight, Burdette. Thank you so much. He's a great Christian counselor. And really started opening up, and not just saying I don't know anymore, you know, because that's all I said the whole time me and Deb went there. I don't know. You know, I guess that's what we all say when we really do know but won't want to say it. And Deb and I started talking a little bit more. One day she told me she wasn't listening to any more secular music. And I thought that was pretty strange, because, you know, that's all we ever listened to, you know, and she thought it was crazy, and I didn't think there was any good Christian music. I thought it was all pretty lame, you know. Well, that day I turned on JTL, and when I turned on, I heard a pastor on there talking about a book he had written called To Kill a Lion, which is about killing lust from the root. And he had been talking about having a men's transformation weekend at Petra Church. And I decided right there, I signed up right online right at that moment, and you know, I packed up a sleeping bag and went to stay at Petra Church that I've never been to, don't know anybody, and that's not me, because I usually don't step out and do anything I'm not comfortable with. You know, but that was definitely a step in, you know, in the right direction. It was amazing. It was an amazing weekend. You know, I opened up to these guys. As soon as I walked in, you know, I just felt welcome. And I opened up to these guys, and like there was 100 guys praying for me, and I actually felt something, you know, in my spirit. I felt it, and I gave my life to Christ that night, and I felt an immediate change. And it's hard to describe, but I just knew, you know, that was for real, like Paul says. I know it was for real, you know. And I came back after that weekend and told the guys in the one band I was playing in that I'd be quitting after our last show in September. And I just felt like I couldn't do it anymore. And that was also the last night that I drank, too. Was the last show, September 30th, 2011, so it's been like 2.5 years. Also told the guys in my other band that I was no longer playing bars, and if they wanted to do it without me, that was fine. But they decided that we could just do weddings and private stuff, you know, which I thought at the time was okay, you know. But soon after that, I met a guy here at Columbia, Christopher, and started taking him to LCBC on Mondays and men's frat, and he invited me to attend his grandfather's men's breakfast on Wednesdays. He said he was a street preacher. I didn't know what to think about that. You know, like, they're crazy. You know? And I was right. We are crazy, but good. But they welcomed me with open arms, and it's been a true blessing to be to me. October of 2011, Devin talked about, we talked and made a decision that we were going to give our marriage the chance that it deserved. You know, a big problem with me was giving up my cell phone and not having a plan together because I was sneaky, you know, and I wouldn't even let her touch my phone. That's how bad, you know, because I was up to no good, and that was a big thing with us, and me not trusting, not giving her that ability to check it or whatever. And but we did. I changed my phone number. I didn't give it to any of the guys I used to hang out with. Totally separated myself from those people that were bad for me, and we got on a plan together. And so she could check it anytime she wants. but it's there, and I just feel that you have to be able to gain trust again, and that's hard to do after the things that we do. And just showing those little things, it's good. Now we're both saved and on the same path of growing in the Lord. It's been so exciting. We get up early every day, do devotions together. And last year we read the entire Bible in a year through the Daily Bread, which Pete recommended. Thanks, Pete. The men I had men's breakfast with were also involved in CMA, and Deb and I were both joined, and that's Christian Motorcycle Association, if you don't know. And just love being a part of a group of real friends who aren't faking that they really care about us. And eventually, we got involved in a Bible study at Jack and Magellan's, and has been a blessing being able to learn more and more about what is important, how important it is to share your faith. And I want to continue growing and learning, because you can't stop growing, because if you do, you're not standing still, you're going backwards, and I don't think any of us can afford to go backwards. And it's just so important to surround yourselves with good Christian friends. Proverbs 13, Proverbs 1:31-20. It says, "He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed." And I walked with fools for a long time, and I destroyed my whole life, but through Jesus, I've been redeemed. I eventually quit the other band I was in also. Now I was wondering what I was going to do, because all I ever wanted to do was play music, and I totally cut that off. But I gave it to God. If I wasn't supposed to play anymore, I was okay with that. But He had other plans. I was asked to join the worship team at church, which is pretty cool, because they're all like real young people, and He just welcomed me into, and it's really awesome. I was asked to join, and then formed a Christian rock band that we really formed it to play at CRs, but actually haven't played at CRs yet. So, but it's opened doors for other things, even though we didn't play CRs yet, which I know we're going to eventually. But opened doors at Mano's house, which was a really big blessing for all of us, because there were so many boys that gave their hearts to the Lord that, just being a part of that was awesome, and I thank God that we had the time we did there. And now I'm involved with the Coffee House Ministries over in York with Aaron and Paul, and it's been really good. We're having a really good time, and I just love ministering to people, and the Lord has blessed me over and over. He has restored my marriage, my family, and blessed me with true friends that I truly love and cherish. Thanks for letting me share.